The shimmer appeared first, a cascade of light that danced across Nueva Santiago's defense screens like Aurora Borealis gone mad. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the colony's main research center as the phenomenon grew stronger, her instruments recording data that defied every known law of physics. The crystalline structures approaching their colony weren't just alien. They were impossible. Multiple contacts, closing fast. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice crackled through the emergency channel. They're not responding to any known communication protocols. Sarah's fingers flew across her console, analyzing the incoming data. The crystalline vessels, if they could even be called that, seemed to phase in and out of normal spacetime, leaving trails of quantum distortion in their wake. 3 months of studying their approach hadn't prepared humanity for the reality of first contact with the Nexus Collective. Energy spike detected. The warning came too late. A beam of pure crystalline energy lanced through Nueva Santiago's strongest shields like they weren't there, carving through the colony's main environmental dome. Warning klaxons blared as emergency containment protocols engage. Sarah grabbed her research tablet, already knowing that everything they'd learned about the crystals would be crucial for Earth's survival. The Nexus Collective wasn't here for peaceful contact. They were here to harvest. All personnel, evacuate to emergency shelters. Colony Governor Maxwell's voice remained steady despite the chaos. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Through the research center's reinforced windows, Sarah watched in horror as more crystalline ships emerged from what looked like tears in reality itself. They moved with an alien grace, their geometric forms defying conventional physics as they positioned themselves around the colony. The defense grid opened fire, rail guns, and plasma cannons, throwing everything humanity had at the invaders. The weapons might as well have been spitballs. Energy beams simply passed through the crystalline ships as if they weren't fully present in our dimension. Dr. Chen. Rodriguez appeared at her door, pulse rifle in hand. Governor's orders. We need to get you and your research off-planet now. Sarah nodded, already downloading her findings to the secured quantum network. The crystals. They're not just ships, Lieutenant. They're living mathematics. Every movement, every attack, it's all part of some vast equation we can barely comprehend. Another blast rocked the facility. Through the chaos, Sarah could see the crystalline entities beginning to land, their impossible forms stretching down from their ships like stalactites of light. Where they touched the colony's structures, matter itself began to change, transforming into more crystal. They're not just attacking, Sarah realized, horror dawning in her voice. They're converting, rebuilding our reality according to their own mathematical laws. The evacuation shuttle was waiting as Sarah and Rodriguez ran through corridors that were already beginning to crystallize around them. Other scientists and colonial personnel rushed alongside them, carrying whatever crucial data or equipment they could save. Look, someone shouted. Through the shuttle bay's massive doors, they could see the true scale of the invasion. The crystalline ships had formed a perfect geometric pattern above Nueva Santiago, their combined energy creating a massive resonance field that was slowly but surely transforming everything below. Sarah strapped herself into the shuttle, clutching her research tablet like a lifeline. As they lifted off, she watched her home of 5 years begin to disappear beneath a spreading lattice of living crystal. The Nexus Collective wasn't just an alien invasion. It was an assault on the very nature of reality itself. Quantum jump coordinates locked. The shuttle pilot announced, "Hold on tight. This'll be a rough one." As the shuttle's jump drive engaged, Sarah's last view of Nueva Santiago was of the colony transforming into a vast crystalline structure, beautiful and terrible in its alien perfection. She knew that this was just the beginning. The data she gathered might be humanity's only hope of understanding and stopping this crystalline threat before it reached Earth itself. The quantum jump took them to the nearest safe harbor, the military outpost at Proxima Centauri. Sarah immediately transmitted her findings to Earth Defense Command. Her message was simple but dire. Traditional weapons useless. Crystals operate on quantum phase principles. Need new approach. Time is critical. Within hours, the response came back, marked with the highest priority. Project Echo authorized. Full resources at your disposal. Stop them, Dr. Chen. Whatever it takes. As Sarah looked out at the stars from the Proxima Centauri station, she could almost see the crystalline ships moving through space, their impossible geometry spreading like a beautiful plague across human space. They had to find a way to fight mathematics with mathematics, to turn the Nexus Collective's own quantum nature against them. The race to save humanity had begun, and Sarah Chen was now at its center. The price of first contact had been steep, but the price of failure would be extinction itself. In the months that followed, Sarah's team worked tirelessly, studying the quantum signatures left behind by the crystalline invaders. They discovered that the Nexus Collective's ships weren't just using advanced technology. They were living expressions of higher dimensional mathematics, capable of partially phasing out of normal spacetime to avoid conventional attacks. But every equation had a solution. Every pattern had its counterpoint. As Sarah stared at the holographic models of crystalline structure, she began to see something no one else had noticed. A fundamental rhythm in the way the crystals phased between dimensions, a mathematical poetry that might hold the key to humanity's survival. It's not about matching their power, she explained to the assembled military leaders. It's about disrupting their harmony. We need to create a quantum phase resonance that can shatter their mathematical perfection. The Echo Protocol was born from this insight, a weapon that didn't try to overpower the crystalline entities, but rather introduced carefully calculated discord into their perfect equations. It was a symphony of destruction, written in the language of quantum physics itself. As the first prototypes were rushed into production, reports came in of more colonies falling to the Nexus Collective. Each transformed world became another perfect geometric structure in space, another note in their alien harmony. But humanity wasn't finished yet. Not while Sarah Chen and her team worked to turn mathematics itself into humanity's ultimate defense. The war for reality itself was about to enter its next phase, and humanity would either emerge triumphant or be transformed into just another beautiful, soulless crystal in the Nexus Collective's expanding universe. The Proxima Centauri research station hummed with energy as quantum computers processed calculations that would have taken traditional systems centuries to complete. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display showing the latest test results, her eyes reflecting the dancing patterns of simulated crystal structures. "Run it again," she ordered, watching as the simulation played out. The virtual crystalline formation pulsed with otherworldly beauty before shattering into countless fragments as the Echo Protocol engaged. This time, the breakdown pattern matched their theoretical models perfectly. Admiral Helena Drake watched from the observation deck, her weathered face showing both hope and skepticism. "You're telling me we can defeat an enemy that exists in multiple dimensions by playing the wrong music?" Sarah smiled despite her exhaustion. "In essence, yes. The Nexus Collective maintains its form through perfect mathematical harmony. The Echo Protocol introduces quantum discord, like playing a wrong note in their symphony of reality. But it has to be exactly the right wrong note." The last 6 months had transformed the research station into humanity's last, best hope. While the crystalline invasion continued to spread across the outer colonies, Earth had poured every available resource into Project Echo. The station's corridors were filled with the brightest minds humanity could gather, all working to perfect a weapon that operated on principles most of them barely understood. "Show me the latest field test," Admiral Drake requested, moving closer to the holographic display. Sarah nodded, bringing up footage from that morning's experiment. A small crystal sample, recovered at great cost from Nueva Santiago, floated in a containment field. As the Echo Protocol activated, waves of quantum interference washed over it. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a sheet of glass hit with exactly the right frequency, the crystal began to vibrate. Cracks appeared along its perfectly geometric surface. Within seconds, It shattered into dust. The principle is sound, Sarah explained, highlighting key data points. The challenge now is scaling it up. A single crystal is one thing. An entire fleet of living mathematical entities is another. How close are we? Drake's question carried the weight of billions of lives. Earth's defenses were strong, but everyone knew they wouldn't stand a chance against the kind of assault that had taken Nueva Santiago. Sarah brought up another display, this one showing the prototype Echo Array, a massive installation designed to generate the quantum interference pattern on a stellar scale. 2 weeks to complete assembly. Maybe another week for final calibration. After that, she let the sentence hang. They both knew what was at stake. The latest intelligence suggested the Nexus Collective was gathering its forces for a major push toward the inner colonies. Time was running out. Admiral, a young officer burst into the lab, face flushed with urgency. Long-range sensors just picked up crystalline signatures entering the Epsilon Eridani system. It's a full invasion force. Drake's expression hardened. How long until they reach the colony? At current speed, 48 hours. Sarah felt her heart sink. Epsilon Eridani was home to over 3 million colonists. If it fell, the path to Earth would be wide open. She looked at the prototype Echo Array, still only partially assembled. "We can't wait," she declared, already running new calculations. The array isn't complete, but the core systems are operational. If we move now, we might have a chance to save Epsilon Eridani. Drake studied the data scrolling across the displays. The risks are less than the cost of losing another colony, Sarah finished. Besides, we've run the simulations thousands of times. The worst that could happen is the protocol fails, and we're no worse off than before. That wasn't entirely true. The simulations had shown other possibilities. Catastrophic quantum cascade failures, dimensional rifts, the potential collapse of local spacetime. But facing extinction, such risks seemed acceptable. Admiral Drake was silent for a long moment before activating her command channel. "This is Drake. Deploy the fleet. All ships prepare for immediate departure to Epsilon Eridani. Project Echo is going live." The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. The prototype array was loaded aboard the UES Horizon, Earth's newest and largest carrier. Support systems were hastily installed, backup generators connected. Sarah's team worked frantically to complete vital calibrations, even as the ship prepared for quantum jump. The United Defense Fleet assembled in high orbit above Proxima Centauri. 40 ships, the largest human battle group ever gathered. Each vessel had been retrofitted with quantum resonators that would amplify the Echo Protocol's effect. Together, they formed a weapon unlike anything humanity had ever created. Sarah stood on the Horizon's bridge as final jump preparations were made. She watched the crew at their stations, all of them aware that they were about to attempt something unprecedented. If it worked, they would save billions of lives. If it failed, Echo Array reports ready, Lieutenant Park announced from his station. All systems nominal. Quantum resonance field stable. Admiral Drake, who had transferred her flag to the Horizon for this mission, nodded grimly. "All ships prepare for quantum jump. Formation Delta. We hit them hard and fast before they know what's happening." Sarah checked the final calculations one last time. The math was solid. The theory was sound. Now they just had to hope that reality itself would cooperate with their plans to subvert its laws. "Jump in 5. The navigation officer called out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Space twisted around them as 40 ships made the quantum leap toward humanity's moment of truth. The Echo Protocol was about to face its first real test, and with it, the fate of human civilization hung in the balance. As they emerged from quantum space, the crystalline fleet came into view. Hundreds of geometric shapes moving with alien grace, already beginning their attack on Epsilon Eridani's outer defenses. Sarah felt a moment of doubt as she saw their numbers. The simulations hadn't prepared her for the awful beauty of the real thing. Then Admiral Drake gave the order that would change everything. Initiate Echo Protocol. All ships, stand by to witness the impossible. The quantum symphony of destruction was about to begin. The crystalline fleet hung in space like a constellation of geometric perfection, their forms refracting light in ways that defied natural law. From the bridge of the UES horizon, Dr. Sarah Chen watched as the enemy vessels began to react to the human fleet's arrival, their perfect formations shifting into attack patterns that resembled complex mathematical equations given physical form. Multiple energy signatures detected. Lieutenant Park reported, his voice steady despite the tension. The crystals are charging their conversion beams. Admiral Drake stood at the command station, her expression carved from stone. All ships maintain formation. Echo array status. Array powered at 98%. Sarah responded, checking the quantum resonance readings. Harmonic fields are stable. We're ready. The crystalline ships moved with their characteristic alien grace, spreading out in a pattern that Sarah recognized from her studies, a three-dimensional representation of a complex wave function. They were preparing to envelope the human fleet in a quantum field that would transform matter itself into crystalline structures. Not this time, Sarah muttered, making final adjustments to the Echo Protocol's frequency patterns. Time to show them some human mathematics. Enemy vessels entering optimal range, Park announced. First conversion beams launching in 3, 2. Initiate Echo Protocol. Drake's order cut through the tension like a knife. All ships, activate quantum resonators. Sarah's fingers flew across her console as she initiated the sequence they'd practiced countless times in simulation. The massive Echo array hummed to life, its quantum generators creating ripples in reality itself. Each ship in the human fleet became a node in a vast network, their resonators amplifying and focusing the array's effect. The first crystalline beams lanced out toward the human fleet, but they met something unprecedented, a quantum interference pattern that caused them to scatter and disperse. The Nexus Collective's perfect mathematical harmony was being challenged by carefully calculated discord. It's working, Sarah exclaimed, watching the readings. The crystalline structures are showing signs of destabilization. Their quantum coherence is breaking down. Through the bridge viewport, they could see the effects spreading through the enemy fleet. The closest crystalline ships began to vibrate, their perfect geometric forms developing microscopic fractures as the Echo Protocol introduced chaos into their ordered existence. But the Nexus Collective wasn't defeated so easily. The alien ships began to adapt, their living mathematics attempting to solve the equation that humanity had thrown at them. New patterns formed as they tried to counter the quantum interference. They're reorganizing, Park warned. Energy signatures changing. They're attempting to phase shift to a different dimensional frequency. Sarah had anticipated this, adjusting Echo Protocol harmonics, initiating Phase 2. The Echo array's output changed, its quantum discord following the crystalline ships across dimensional boundaries. This was the true power of the weapon. It could chase the enemy through the very mathematical structures they used to define their existence. The battle became a duel of equations, with humanity's calculated chaos wrestling against alien perfection. Crystal ships shattered one after another as they failed to adapt quickly enough to the changing quantum resonance. Those that survived tried to retreat, only to find their phase shift capabilities disrupted by the pervasive field of mathematical discord. Multiple enemy vessels experiencing critical structural failure, Park reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. Their formation is breaking down. Admiral Drake allowed herself a small smile. Press the advantage. All ships, advance and maintain Echo Protocol coverage. Don't let them regroup. The human fleet moved forward as one, their coordinated movements creating new patterns in the quantum interference field. Sarah watched in awe as the theories and simulations she'd worked on for months came to life on a stellar scale. But amid the success, she noticed something strange in the data. As the crystalline ships shattered, their remnants weren't simply breaking apart, they were transforming. The quantum resonance was revealing something hidden within their mathematical structure. "Admiral," she called out, "I'm detecting unusual patterns in the crystal fragments. There's information encoded in their quantum states. I think we're seeing more than just weapons or ships. These might be records or memories." Drake glanced at the readings. "Can you preserve any of it? I'm modifying the Echo protocol to capture quantum signatures as the crystals break down. There's something here we need to understand." The battle continued around them as Sarah worked to unlock the secrets hidden in the dying crystalline forms. The Nexus Collective's fleet was in full retreat now, their perfect formations shattered by humanity's mathematical weapon. Those ships that could still phase shift were disappearing into higher dimensions, fleeing from an enemy that had finally found their weakness. "Enemy forces down to 20%, Park announced. "The remaining ships are attempting to establish a new geometric pattern." Correction. "They're surrendering." The bridge fell silent. The concept of surrender had never been associated with the Nexus Collective before. They had always been viewed as a force of nature, as implacable as gravity itself. "They're transmitting something," Sarah said, studying the quantum fluctuations. "It's not like their usual patterns. This is different, structured, deliberate." Admiral Drake moved to her station. "Can you decode it?" "Working on it. The quantum signature matches some of the patterns we found in the crystal fragments. I think they're trying to communicate." As the last echoes of battle faded, the true magnitude of what humanity had achieved began to sink in. They had not only survived an encounter with the Nexus Collective, they had forced them to acknowledge humanity as equals in the mathematics of existence itself. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they had stumbled upon something far more significant than a military victory. The quantum signatures in the crystal fragments, and this new attempt at communication, suggested that there was much more to the Nexus Collective than they had imagined. As she worked to decode the alien transmission, Sarah wondered if the Echo protocol had done more than just shatter crystal ships. Perhaps it had broken through to something deeper, a truth about the nature of their mysterious enemy that would change everything they thought they knew about the war for reality itself. The quantum lab aboard the UES Horizon had been transformed into an impromptu decryption center. Holographic displays showed endlessly shifting patterns of crystalline structures as Dr. Sarah Chen worked to decode the information hidden within the fragments of the shattered Nexus ships. But time was running out. "They're coming." Admiral Drake's voice carried a weight Sarah had never heard before. "Long-range sensors detect the largest crystalline fleet we've ever encountered. They're targeting every remaining human colony simultaneously." Sarah looked up from her work, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "They're desperate. What we discovered in these quantum signatures." "Admiral, the Nexus Collective isn't what we thought they were. They're not invaders. They're refugees." The holographic displays showed the truth she pieced together from the quantum-encoded memories. The crystalline entities were once organic beings, like humans, who had discovered a way to transcend their physical forms through mathematical transformation. They had fled their dying universe, seeking new realms to preserve their civilization. "Refugees or not," Drake responded, "they're still trying to crystallize our worlds, our people. We have to stop them." "But that's just it," Sarah insisted, bringing up new data streams. "The crystallization process, it's not just transformation, it's preservation. Every human colony they've converted, the people aren't dead. They're stored, encoded into the crystalline matrix itself." Before Drake could respond, emergency alerts blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Park's voice came over the intercom. "Multiple quantum signatures detected. They're emerging everywhere." Through the lab's viewport, Sarah watched as space itself seemed to fracture. Countless crystalline ships appeared, their geometric forms more complex and perfect than any they'd encountered before. This wasn't just a fleet. It was the full might of the Nexus Collective. "All ships, battle stations," Drake ordered, already moving toward the bridge. Dr. Chen, we need the Echo Protocol at full power. But Sarah hesitated, her mind racing through the implications of what she'd discovered. Admiral, wait. The Echo Protocol. It's not just disrupting their forms. When we shatter the crystals, we're not just destroying ships. We're erasing memories, histories, entire civilizations preserved in their quantum structure. The ship shuddered as the first crystalline attacks began. On nearby displays, Sarah could see similar scenes playing out across human space. The Nexus Collective was launching a coordinated assault on every remaining colony, their ships raining down from higher dimensions like a crystalline storm. They're approaching differently this time, Park reported from the bridge. They're geometric patterns. They're forming some kind of massive quantum resonance field. Sarah's instruments confirmed it. The Nexus fleet wasn't just attacking. They were creating a vast mathematical structure in space itself, a lattice of pure quantum potential that would allow them to convert entire star systems at once. Echo Protocol standing by, Weapons Control reported, awaiting authorization. But Sarah was seeing something in the data that changed everything. The quantum resonance field wasn't just a weapon. It was a message, written in the language of mathematics itself, and she could finally read it. They're not trying to destroy us, she whispered, then louder. Admiral, hold the Echo Protocol. The crystalline lattice. It's a preservation matrix. They're trying to save us. Through the growing quantum field, Sarah could see the truth. The Nexus Collective had discovered something in their mathematical explorations, a fundamental flaw in the structure of reality itself. Their universe had collapsed, and ours was next. The crystallization process, she explained rapidly. It's not about conquest. It's about transcendence. They're trying to preserve all sentient life by converting it into quantum-stable crystalline forms before our universe undergoes the same collapse they escaped from. On the displays, the massive crystalline fleet had arranged itself into a perfect geometric array, their combined power creating patterns of impossible beauty in spacetime itself. They weren't preparing for battle. They were preparing for salvation. How long? Drake asked, understanding the implications. Based on their quantum signatures, months, maybe weeks. The fundamental forces holding our universe together are already showing signs of decay. We can't see it yet, but they can. Their crystalline forms let them perceive quantum structures we can't even imagine. The ship's sensors were overwhelmed by the scale of what was happening. The crystalline ships had created a vast network, their mathematical harmony reaching out to touch every human world simultaneously. It wasn't an invasion force, it was an arc, designed to preserve humanity through the coming collapse of reality itself. We have a choice, Sarah said, looking at the quantum displays showing both doom and salvation. We can use the Echo Protocol, shatter their ships, and maintain our current form of existence for whatever time we have left. Or we can trust them, Drake finished. Accept their offer and become like them. Preserve humanity by transforming it. The crystalline rain continued to fall across human space, each geometric ship a promise of both death and immortality. The mathematical patterns they created were a symphony of survival, a desperate attempt to save not just themselves, but all sentient life from the collapse of reality itself. As alarms blared and crews waited for orders, humanity faced its greatest choice: fight against transcendence and maintain their organic existence until the universe crumbled around them, or embrace a crystalline transformation that would preserve human consciousness in mathematical perfection forever. Sarah looked at the quantum signatures one last time, reading the history of a civilization that had faced this same choice in their own dying universe. The next few moments would determine not just humanity's fate, but the future of consciousness itself in a cosmos that was running out of time. The bridge of the UES horizon had become humanity's crucible of decision. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the assembled military and civilian leadership, her quantum displays showing both the impending death of their universe and the crystalline salvation offered by the Nexus Collective. Our universe is like a soap bubble about to pop, she explained, manipulating the holographic models. The Nexus Collective discovered this when they were still organic beings. They found that consciousness could be preserved through mathematical transformation, encoded in crystalline structures that exist partially outside normal spacetime. Admiral Drake studied the patterns of the vast crystalline fleet surrounding them. And you're certain about the time frame? The quantum decay is accelerating. 3 months at most before fundamental forces begin to break down. After that, Sarah let the implications hang in the air. The crystalline transformation is the only way to preserve human consciousness through the collapse. The room erupted in debate. Some argued for fighting to the end, maintaining human form until the last possible moment. Others saw the logic in transformation, in preserving humanity's essence, even if its form must change. Look at what they've built, Sarah continued, highlighting the massive geometric structures now spanning human space. It's not just a preservation system. It's an ark for consciousness itself, a way to survive until a new universe stabilizes, one where we might take physical form again. Through the viewport, they could see the crystalline ships maintaining their perfect formation. The mathematics of their existence sang through space itself, a harmony of survival that offered humanity a chance to transcend its own limitations. President Chen of the United Earth Government, connected via quantum link, spoke for the first time. Dr. Chen, you've studied their quantum signatures. If we agree to this transformation, what exactly would we preserve? Would we still be human? Sarah brought up new displays, showing the intricate patterns she decoded. Everything that makes us who we are, our memories, our consciousness, our capacity for growth and change, would be preserved in crystalline matrices. We wouldn't be human in physical form, but in essence, in all the ways that truly matter. Yes. The quantum sensors suddenly spiked, showing new readings from the crystalline fleet. They're offering a demonstration, Sarah announced, interpreting the patterns, a voluntary transformation of a single human, reversible, to prove their intentions. The room fell silent. Such a demonstration would require a volunteer to undergo the crystalline transformation, while maintaining enough of their original consciousness to verify the process's success and reversibility. Sarah stepped forward. I volunteer. Absolutely not, Drake interjected. You're too valuable to risk. I'm the only one who fully understands the quantum mathematics involved, Sarah countered. I can verify the process from the inside and maintain enough awareness to communicate what I experience. It has to be me. After hours of debate and preparation, the decision was made. Sarah stood in the Horizon's main observation deck, surrounded by monitoring equipment. Through the reinforced windows, a single crystalline ship approached, its perfect geometric form refracting starlight in impossible ways. Ready to begin transmission, Lieutenant Park announced from his station. Dr. Chen, we're recording everything. If anything seems wrong. Sarah nodded, her heart racing, but her mind clear. Proceed. The crystalline ship emitted a beam of pure mathematical energy, enveloping Sarah in equations made light. She felt her consciousness expanding as her physical form began to transform, organic matter converting to crystalline perfection one atom at a time. The sensation was indescribable, like being awake in a dream where the fundamental laws of reality were merely suggestions. She could see the quantum structure of space-time itself, could feel the approaching collapse of the universe like a distant thunderstorm. But more than that, she could feel the presence of others, the vast consciousness of the Nexus Collective, not as invaders or even saviors, but as fellow travelers in the grand journey of existence. Their history, their knowledge, their very essence became accessible to her transformed mind. I can see. Her voice came through the quantum communicators, transformed but recognizable. I can see everything. We were never alone. The universe, it cycled through collapse and rebirth countless times. Life always finds a way to preserve itself, to continue. Her crystalline form hung in space, a perfect geometric shape that somehow contained everything that was Sarah Chen and more. After an hour of tests and communication, the process was reversed, leaving her human form unchanged, but her understanding forever transformed. "We have to accept their offer," she told the assembled leaders afterward. "Not just to survive, but to become part of something greater." The Nexus Collective isn't just preserving life, they're preparing for what comes next. After the collapse, after the new universe forms, we'll have the knowledge and capability to help shape it, to ensure it's stable enough to support organic life once again. The decision, when it came, was not unanimous but was decisive. Humanity would accept transformation, preserving its consciousness in crystalline form while working with the Nexus Collective to understand and perhaps even prevent future universal collapses. The process began immediately. Cities, then continents, then entire planets were transformed, their inhabitants preserved in geometric perfection. But it wasn't an ending. It was an evolution, a transcendence born of the human spirit's fundamental drive to survive, to adapt, to overcome any obstacle. As the last organic humans prepared for transformation, Sarah stood again on the horizon's observation deck. The Earth below was becoming a lattice of living crystal, beautiful beyond description. The crystalline fleet had merged with human ships, creating hybrid structures that bridged the gap between what humanity had been and what it was becoming. "We're not losing ourselves," she said to Admiral Drake as they watched the transformation spread. "We're becoming more than we ever dreamed possible. The universe might be ending, but humanity had found a way to ensure its consciousness, its essence, would continue." In choosing to transform, they had proven that the human spirit could transcend even the bonds of reality itself. As the crystalline rain completed its work, a new kind of humanity emerged, one that existed in the mathematics of reality itself, ready to carry the torch of consciousness through the death and rebirth of the universe. They had faced extinction and instead achieved immortality, preserving not just their own species, but the very essence of what it meant to be alive and aware in a cosmos full of endless possibilities.